You probably call yourself the video game person. You work as a game developer and are thriving on it. Your main hobby is playing video games, which is something you truly enjoy, and you have a wide network of other developers who give you support and opportunities. But what will happen if you stop liking video games? What if you don't enjoy not only making them, but also playing them? What will you talk about with your network? What will you do with your free time, your career, even your life? These are all the questions I asked myself over the last couple of months because I've lost a little bit of a passion about video games in general. Even though I used to enjoy my work and my gaming sessions a lot, one day I found myself not looking forward to these things anymore. And day by day that led me to a pretty dark stage in my life, in which I lost track of who I really was. That made me deeply think about how we game developers identify ourselves with the media, how we over-rely on our love of video games to feel complete, and specifically how that can destroy our mental health one day. So after going through all this process myself, I reached some juicy conclusions about why do we have this identity crisis in the industry, how to cope with these feelings, and how to form a much solid and healthy identity for ourselves. And today I want to share it with you all. Looking back to this couple of months, I think I have this identity crisis because most of my life was based on the video game industry. I work as a game developer, my main hobby is playing video games, and almost all for my friends are from the gaming industry. This caused that the moment I stopped liking video games as I used to, my whole life crumbled because I had nowhere to go. And this is because I lost track of the limit which separates my hobby from my job. And I didn't know anymore if I was a game developer or just a video game person in general. So I started to research a little bit about this topic because I found it so interesting, and of course I needed some help to overcome it. And I found a lot of people who feel this way, and I think this is not coincident because of the bad stage the gaming industry is going through. We game developers need to support ourselves on something, and that something usually is passion, which causes that we identify ourselves with the media itself, because when job conditions are very poor, you need to rely on your love for video games to go along that. But I've discovered that relying that much on passion is like trying to light up a cave using just a battery in a flashlight. Yeah, you might get a nice shot at the start, but the battery is so short-lived that the moment you run out of gas, you have nothing to keep going. Meaning that basing all your identity on video games is not either good for your mental health nor for your career, so we need to find another alternative. The very first thing I want to make clear here is that I don't think that identity crises are bad themselves. They are just another defense mechanism that our brains have to survive. And even though the feelings they produce are unpleasant, I think it's crucial to feel them. Because every feeling is there for a reason. And the heavy lift is not feeling them but understanding them. And one great tool to make this process so much easier is journaling. Because the process of writing your thoughts down will not only make you understand them better, but also prevents your mind from going into full speed thinking, in which you cannot even keep track of what you're thinking about. That's why I've left in the description a prompt palette in which you have tons of questions to ask yourself about this identity crisis to explore the topic more deeply. Asking yourself things like what would you do if money were no object, how will you use your talent and skills to serve other people, and how you'll be in life if you repeat this week's actions for the next 10 years. All of these questions give you conclusion about what you value in life and in your career, and those are the things that will replace video games in the future. If you feel a little bit weird writing your thoughts down, you can always write them in the comment section down below. I promise to take a look at it and give you advice on it. Or you can check out the Game Development Mentor list to talk to any other developer which is either facing this problem right now or have faced it in the past, and I'm sure there will be more than glad to help you. Alright, so the key here is to take out video games from our identity and replace them with something much more healthier. And focusing firstly on your career, which is usually the most hotspot in the process, I found really helpful to focus on my evergreen professional values. A professional value is nothing more than something you value in your work, like curiosity, learning, or challenges. But an evergreen value is something about your identity which doesn't depend on the environment you're working in. For example, the 3 values I have in my life right now are being an active person on my health, meaning that I always do some exercise in one form or another, not constrained to going to the gym, dance class, or a sport. Being a curious person in my work, meaning that I always look forward to learning new things, even if they are about video games, content creation, or engineering. And finally, being a kind person, i.e. trying to treat everyone well, even if they are part of my family, my friends, or my lover. The key thing here is that these 3 values don't depend on my environment, because they are part of who I am. For example, if you're one of those people who likes to play really hard games, because you like the process of overcoming the challenges to avoid avoid relying on your love for video games in this process, you can replace the identity of being a hardcore player with being someone who enjoys challenges, no matter the representation of them, and you can enjoy a hard video game as much as you enjoy a difficult sport, or a difficult language, or playing a difficult instrument. This way you can always switch the representation of this value, because having a broad set of alternatives not only for your career but also for your life can give you a lot of tranquility in your life. So I will advise you to work on exercises like the Odyssey plan, in which you explore different paths for your life, so that your identity have a lot of different paths to go through. For example, if you currently work in a AAA company as a game programmer, if for example you have available the option to go into the production realm, which is also about video games but it's not making the game itself, you're gonna be much more tranquil, because the moment you stop liking making video games, you can always switch career to that option. And you know, if you even have the option to quit in the industry altogether, you can rest assured that your love for video games is not gonna determine your career. But obviously the most easy way to not base all your identity on video games is to find other hobbies. There are lots of things you can do with your free time, and having a couple of hobbies not related to video games are gonna make you enjoy a lot of the time you spend playing them, because you are not going through the motions anymore. I personally started enjoying playing games a lot when I started playing the ukulele and volleyball, because the moments I was playing video games were not the norm but the exception, and I wasn't afraid to losing my passion for video games because I had other places to go with my free time. I know this process is quite difficult because we game developers rely too much on passion, and that's the thing which makes our whole identity be based on the video game media. So if, like me, you find yourself over-relying on your passion for the video game industry, I think you will find really helpful this video right here, in which we explore why that's a problem and how you can replace passion with something much more healthy. I hope you find it helpful, and I see you soon. Bye bye.